call this 9th meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Education to order. Our chair will be joining us shortly.
We have quorum without you, but if you want to step in anytime.
I want to step in on 5:20. Okay. All right. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Senator Carroll.
Oh, should
Here.
I have done that?
Senator Givens. Senator Higdon. Senator Meredith. Senator Neal. Senator Rawlings. Senator Reed. Senator Thomas. Senator Tishner.
Here.
Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Senator Wise. Chair West.
We have a quorum. I am going to go a little bit out of order today. Everything's a little bit fluid as we come to the last days of session. And I'm going to have House Bill 342, if you could please come to the table.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Michael Meredith, representing the 19th House District. I have with me to my left today my page, Miss Emma Claire Skaggs, who's a senior at Edmondson County High School.
Patrick Gerbovi, North Oldham High School.
Thank you. Please proceed.
So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, this bill would just create a one-credit course requirement for financial literacy education in the high school curriculum in Kentucky high schools. There is a committee substitute that I want to notate.
Do I have a second? Thank you.
And so what the substitute does is really a couple or three things. Kind of at the last minute, I got a message from Senator West that the Kentucky Department of Education had some concerns with the original bill as it came over to you all. KDE had not reached out to me up until that point, but we went to work on Tuesday afternoon trying to address those issues, and that's what the sub does, is address those issues. It does not relegate that class to a junior or senior course now due to early graduation programs in schools. And it takes out the language about being able to use it as a social studies or a mathematics credit, because they said there were problems with the standards related to financial literacy fitting into one of those holes. So what it will do now is it creates a required elective course in financial literacy for anywhere through the high school curriculum, but it is a requirement for graduation in that. Okay. We know that students are graduating from high school and going to have to start making a lot of financial decisions right after they get out. And having the proper education on this in high school, we would hope that parents could educate them on that, but sometimes they're not getting that at home. And so hopefully this sets a good foundation for them going into the future and for the rest of their lives. I want to let Patrick have just a few minutes to talk about this, though. He interned at the Treasury here in Frankfort during the summer, brought this bill to me, and has worked significantly on it, so I want to give him just a little bit of time.
Yes, good afternoon, Senators. My name is Patrick Gerbovi. I'm 16, and I'm a junior at North Oldham High School. I'm here to advocate for personal finance education, which is something I started doing back in April of 2024. And because I believe that every student should graduate with the knowledge to make smart financial decisions. Now, as of right now, only 28% of Kentuckians are considered financially literate, meaning nearly 3 out of 4 people would struggle with basic financial concepts like budgeting, credit, and interest rates. Now, without financial education, students enter adulthood unprepared for managing student loans. Now, we see this as a very big problem today because students are going into college taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans, not knowing what their expected pay is for that degree. They also don't understand what interest is and when it's applied. And this creates kind of a cycle that isn't supporting our economies, isn't supporting our students. They also don't understand credit cards and debt. Now, I'm sure most of you all have children, and as a teenager myself, we aren't the most responsible with our credit cards. And so what this course does, especially in high school, is as students are getting their credit cards and as they are getting jobs, they're coming into a personal finance education, which allows them to take these skills and move on. And while one of the things I say is we wouldn't allow students to graduate without learning algebra or reading, yet we're allowing them to enter the world without knowing how to manage their money. And while I appreciate all the work they do, there comes a time when an army of PhDs, they lose their reality with the common Kentuckian student who doesn't understand what money is because their parents could never properly explain it to them because they never received a proper education as well.
Motion on the bill.
All right, thank you for your testimony. We do have a motion and a second on the sub. So if we can have everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The sub has been adopted, and now we have a motion on the bill. Is
Motion
there a
on the
second?
bill.
Motion and a second. Before we take the roll call vote, are there any questions or discussion? I will take a little liberty here and say thank you for bringing this legislation forward. I was able to contribute one slight little change so that students are graduating knowing how to sign their name in cursive. I think that's important. And I want to thank Patrick for being here. He's a constituent of mine and has done great work on this bill. It is very, very important. Thank you for all that you've done to bring this forward. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Senator Carroll.
Aye.
Senator Givens. Senator Higdon. Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Senator Neal. Senator Rawlings. Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Thomas.
Madam Chair, I vote aye. And Representative Meredith, this is an excellent idea, one that I proudly support, and I commend you for bringing this forward. I vote aye.
Senator Tishner. Aye. Senator Williams.
Aye.
Senator Wilson.
Aye.
Senator Wise.
Aye.
Chair West.
Aye.
All right. House Bill 342 passes with 10 yeses and no nays. Thank you guys so much. It should do the same on the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Up next, we have House Bill 48, Act relating to education. Representative Shane Baker, looks like you have a very important guest with you. Just as an announcement to keep everybody in mind and on track, we need to vacate this room at 12:15. And so keep that in mind as I'll be moving pretty quickly through some of these bills. 1:15. I've had a hard time with time lately. I apologize. And we're scheduling committees at the same time, so I apologize for being late. The floor is yours. State your name for the record. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Shane Baker. I'm State Representative for the 85th District.
James Tipton, State Representative, 53rd Legislative District.
Thank you. Over the last couple of years as a part of the House, I've heard a number of times words mentioned over and over: recruitment and retention of teachers. And oftentimes we talk about, beyond that, we talk about the outcome that our students have. And if any of you, not only being in the legislature, but anywhere you go in your community, if you know some teachers, you've heard a lot of teachers mention that they love their job, they love kids. They just don't like all the hoops they have to jump through and the boxes they have to check. They don't like having to be test administrators and just spending a lot of time on busy work. They would really like to focus their time on their students and try to make a real difference in their lives in the time that they have. Last year, we put a working group together with Chair Tipton and Co-Chair Truitt, myself. We met with some teachers and administrators from around the state throughout the summer to discuss some things that were challenges to them and things they would like to see changed. And we had a rather lengthy list, and we tried to boil it down to 5 or 6 things to take a first bite of a big apple to begin this process in the years to come. But in that, we tried to focus on things that were redundant, outdated, or seemed to serve no real purpose, as we had asked for in the task force that we requested. But the task force didn't come together, so we did the working group. This bill basically does a couple things. And Chair West, I apologize. I don't have the committee sub, so if I mention something,
You're fine. I'm gonna circle back to it at the end, and let's have those been distributed. Copies of sub. Can staff get him a copy of the sub, please? Please proceed.
So the first thing it does, it reduces the frequency of required evaluations from once every 3 years to once every 5 years. These teachers, they've been in the classroom for a lengthy period of time. They know their stuff. They're still evaluated on a different level, but those summative evaluations, it just changes the frequency of those. The second thing, it streamlines professional development provisions into a single KRS section, and it reduces the burden of state-mandated PDs. So there are four state-mandated PDs. This rolls them into one statute, removes them in some other places, so they're easily identifiable. But what they do in their first year of teaching, they get all 4 of them, and beyond that, they do them once every 4 years. So they don't have to have the redundancy of things that they've learned for the past 5, 10, 20 years. There's nothing that prohibits them from going back and reviewing those, but this just tries to streamline that process. The third thing, it updated the filing requirements for the continuous school improvement plan. I think that's one of the changes. So I'm gonna just move past that briefly. I will tell you though that the OEA has looked into these CSIPs, and KDE staff acknowledges a weak correlation between school improvement plans and school improvement practices. And OEA analysis said the plans are often lengthy and could be regarded by teachers and principals primarily as compliance documents. There's a lot of things that teachers and administrators are required to do that's busy time that takes away from their time focusing on the children, and that's what we're trying to clear up. The fourth thing, it prohibits the board from imposing any new reporting requirements that are not authorized by state statute or federal law. And it requires KDE to submit a report to LRC detailing the submission requests used to complete CSIPs and CDIPs. And it eliminates all submission requests not required by law August 1st, 2026. So it sunsets a bunch of things. So what we're trying to do in these last couple sections or non-codified language is we're trying to identify some of those burdens that may not necessarily be needed and let those sunset next year. The last one in this part is it requires KDE to submit a report to LRC that describes each reporting requirement imposed on schools and districts. And all those not expressly required by law will sunset June 30th, 2026, unless preserved by statute. They get the opportunity to come back next year and say, hey, we need these things. In fact, so we started this conversation last year. We worked through it. We had a meeting with KDE, went over everything. We were all good. We filed the bill in January. It passed out of committee early February, first week in February, when we came back. And then KDE came to me and said, oh, well, there's problems. So we actually addressed those and fixed everything and took it back to committee and passed committee again. And I haven't heard from them since. I understand, Chair West, they have reached out to you. But they've never expressed these concerns to me. We addressed their issues, but we're trying to make sure that we don't cause any harm. There was one thing that we addressed in here that was not part of the mission we were trying to reduce the burdens on teachers, was changing something on training, mentor programs. Last year we passed a bill that made that a mandated training. We went back to permissive language on that. The reason we did that was because a number of schools came to us and said, okay, we appreciate what you all are doing. We understand the need for mentors and we want to do that. But by making that a mandate, they were no longer eligible for Title II funds. So we just tried to clean that up and fix that. That's pretty much all it does.
Awesome. Does your guest have any comments?
Representative Baker did an outstanding job. I actually had 2 educators from Spencer County that helped on this, and I certainly appreciate their work. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, gentlemen, for an excellent presentation. There is a sub on the bill. This is our sub. Just a quick explanation of what it does. It does strip out the CSIP provisions, so everything in the bill stays the same except the CSIP provisions. This was after a long discussion with KDE. Agree with what you're attempting to do 100%. We felt there may be some implementation issues doing it. I was told if you strip it out completely, then they may end up having to do some of the same things federally as one-offs rather than one program. Also, they are currently undergoing a revamp of their computer system, so they're hoping that would also improve the situation. However, I will say, even if the sub passes, I look forward to working with you on the interim to continue discussion on that. Yes. And as we have discussed, I would like to see you file the same bill every year to eliminate bureaucracies and things of that nature. So this is not the end of the road on that, and I appreciate you working with us on that. But At this time, we do have a motion on the sub. Do we have a second? We have a second on the sub. All those in favor of adopting the sub say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Sub is adopted. Any further comment? Senator Thomas has a question.
And I guess, Chairman West, my question is directed to you since you mentioned that you'd been in contact with KDE. Once the CSIP provisions were eliminated, is KDE okay with the bill now? Are they satisfied with the
My sub strips out the CSIP provisions in his bill,
Right.
so basically everything stays the same as it is now. So KDE, in my opinion, is satisfied with.
That's my question.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Any other questions from members? Seeing none, please call the roll. Oh, we do need a motion. We have a motion. Senator Wise, we have a second. Senator Williams, please call the roll.
Senator Carroll. Aye. Senator Givens. Senator Higdon. Aye. Senator Meredith. Aye. Senator Neal.
Aye.
Senator Rawlings. Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Thomas.
Aye.
Senator Tishner. Senator Williams. Aye. Senator Wilson. Aye. Senator Wise. Aye. Chair West.
Aye. House Bill 480, as amended by committee sub, passes unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you
48.
for all your hard work.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee, and I look forward to working with you all on this in the future.
Absolutely. Up next, House Bill 90, an act relating to advanced education opportunities. As Representative All is coming up, we're going to go a little bit out of order. I'm going to take 430 next, and I'm going to try to roll through these next bills rather quickly. I'm going to hold 208 at the end, but we'll get to you as soon as possible. The floor is yours. State your name for the record and proceed.
Robert Duvall, District 17, Warren County, State Representative.
The floor is yours.
Chairman West, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'm proud to report that House Bill 190 did pass unanimously on the House floor and in committee. Over the past year, I've been working with Dr. Julia Roberts from WKU, who was recently elected chair of the Kentucky Advisory Council for Gifted and Talented Education. And she brought to my attention the need for our high potential students to be challenged with advanced coursework. House Bill 190 provides a roadmap to enhance educational opportunities for those with high academic potential and provides rigor for those who are at or above grade level. While it is crucially important to continue the efforts to improve educational opportunities for those who are not meeting Kentucky's standards, we must never forget about those who might cure cancer or create the next supercomputer. So House Bill 190 would direct local school districts to establish by December 1st, 2025, clear policies on advanced coursework or accelerated learning options by grade level and subject area for students in grades 4 through 12. The House committee sub that I had in the House was changed from the following, from a shall to a may. So it may require students who scored distinguished in any subject area to be automatically enrolled in advanced coursework for that subject, and it may include eligibility criteria for qualifications for advanced coursework for other students, and it also may require written consent from a parent to opt out of that coursework. So it should never be the intent of the General Assembly to micromanage our educational system because local school districts know their students best. And House Bill 190 encourages these districts to customize their policies to meet the needs of their students. So House Bill 190 will move the needle for our high potential learners. It will create conversations and innovation to take our students to the next level. So Kentucky wins, but most importantly, our students win. And so our mission should now and forever be to help each student reach their potential.
Thank you, Representative Ault. Excellent presentation. We have a motion from Senator Wilson, second from Senator Williams. Any questions from members of the committee on this piece of legislation?
I have a question. Is there a sub on this?
There is no sub. There's no sub on 190. Any other questions? Seeing none, please call the roll. Thank you.
Senator Carroll.
Aye.
Senator Givens, Senator Higdon, Senator Meredith, Senator Neal, Senator Rawlings, Senator Reed, Senator Thomas, Senator Tishner, Senator Williams, Senator Wilson, Senator Wise, Chair West.
Aye. House Bill 190 passes unanimously with favorable expression. Thank you, Representative All.
Chair West, members of the committee, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have House Bill 430. Act. And let me get there first. An act relating to school bus safety training. There is, as they're getting settled and ready, there is a sub on this. We have a motion from Senator Wilson on the sub. Do we have a second? We have a second from Senator Williams on the sub. All those in favor of adopting the sub say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Sub is adopted. The floor is yours. State your name for the record and proceed. I'm assuming you'll speak mainly on 430 and you'll speak mainly on the sub.
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Mike Clines, Kentucky State Representative, District 68.
Emily Calloway, State Representative for District 37.
As passed by the House, House Bill 430 logically reduces regulations, it improves bus safety, it facilitates local control, supports cost efficiency, and increases instructional time. At this time, I'd like to segue over into the proposed Senate Committee Sub 2.
Thank you. Thank you for the time today. In 2024, we passed some legislation to allow our schools to use 9-passenger vans to transport on a daily basis with their daily routes. And KDE is promulgating those and ran into some glitches with their regulations. And so we're fixing that with this. And that's really all that is. Just been in constant contact with KDE, making improvements as they arise.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the brevity of it. Any questions from members on this bill? Seeing none, we have a motion on the bill. We have a second from Senator Reed. Please call the roll.
Senator Carroll.
Aye.
Senator Givens, Senator Higdon, Senator Meredith, Senator Neal, Senator Rawlings, Senator Reed, Senator Thomas, Senator Tishner, Senator Williams, Senator Wilson, Senator Wise, Chair West.
Aye. House Bill 430 passes unanimously with favorable expression. We do have to act on a title amendment. I'm assuming Senator Williams is making a motion on the title amendment. Senator Reed makes a second on the title amendment. All those in favor of adopting the title amendment say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Title amendment is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Our brevity is our gift to you. All right.
Thank you. Up next, we have House Bill 208, Act relating to technology in public schools. We do, while they're getting settled, we do have a gentleman signed up to speak in favor of 208. If you just want to come on up right now and have a seat next to the sponsor, that'd be great. The floor is yours. Whenever you're ready, state your name for the record and proceed.
Representative Josh Bray, House District 71.
Representative James Tipton, House District 53.
Nick Spencer, Director of Policy for the Family Foundation of Kentucky.
Floor is yours.
Thank you, members of committee. House Bill 208 is a very simple bill, but I can promise you it will be extremely impactful on our schools. What the bill does is it says that each district shall have a policy that prohibits a student's usage of cell phones during instructional time. We provide several different exceptions in case they have some kind of disability, in case the teacher wants to utilize it for educational purposes, in case the teacher wants to utilize it for some kind of incentive purpose. What we've seen is school districts that have done this have immediately seen test scores improve, particularly among the lowest performing students who often use cell phones or technology during the classroom as a way to escape difficult concepts. What we've also seen is a lowering of bullying rates and mental health rates within districts that have adopted similar policies to these. To me, it's common sense. It's hard enough to teach kids today, particularly when they're distracted by a cell phone or technology, even if they're not on it. I mean, as we speak here, it's difficult because I'm aware that my phone is vibrating as we speak. And so even though I'm not currently interacting with it, it is occupying space within my mind. And it's hard enough for adults to multitask, and studies have shown children struggle with that at a much higher rate. Within the bill, it also limits students' access to social media through the school system unless, once again, it's for an educational purpose authorized by a teacher.
Mr. Chair, if I could add, first I want to thank you for having this as an agenda item at one of our interim meetings. That was a very informative meeting. We heard from a researcher who works with Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Anxious Generation. We had a superintendent from the Dayton, Ohio school system, had good conversation that day. And I think there's three things we're trying to accomplish here. Number one, we want to improve academic performance in the classroom. Maybe there's four things, because I think it's going to be a big benefit to teachers as well. I think this, from what I've heard, improves social interaction of our students in our school. And I think maybe one of the biggest concerns is possibly reducing the impact of mental health issues. One of the saddest statements that I've heard in the last year or so is that since 2012, and that's about the time the smartphone came out, the incidence of suicides among teenage girls has doubled in the United States. So I think this is a win-win-win, and I encourage you all to pass House Bill 208 today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I would just add, the Family Foundation is very thankful for all the work that Representative Bray, Chair Tipton, and Chair West, you all have done on this bill. We think it's a great step forward in protecting children in our school system. Obviously, it improves sociability, it improves long-term cognition, and it improves emotional well-being for our students. One thing that we did want to sort of get on the record in this discussion is the Family Foundation had a supporter of ours who approached us and said that his wife is a high school teacher, teaches seniors, and she has personally experienced high school seniors in her class who are gambling on their phones in class, because Kentucky is an extreme rarity in the United States in that our legal gambling age is 18 rather than 21. So obviously, as technology evolves over time, this is going to be an ongoing, continuing discussion on what we need to do to continue to improve protections for students in public schools. But we certainly appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. We think it's a wonderful first step, and we urge your support.
Excellent presentation by everyone. We're going to now open it up for questions. Senator Neal is up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very important bill, no question about it. Let me ask you a question, though. In terms of their promulgation of rules, does this extend or give the school district the ability to confiscate, for lack of a better term, the instrument for a period of time that they are not supposed to be using it, with notwithstanding the exceptions?
So what I can say is we have purposely drafted this in such a way that the district shall have a policy, but we don't tell them what the policy has to be. It's a very important policy matter overall, but a lot of these very nuanced issues need to be handled at the most local level, because what may work at one particular elementary school, for instance, may not work in a high school. And so we wanted to make sure that districts had the flexibility to implement this as they best saw fit, but giving the overall guidance that, during instructional time, these devices are harmful to the education of children.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed.
So I take by your answer is that it does allow that, but you've deferred to the local space to make that determination based upon needs and circumstances there.
It doesn't prohibit it, but that's exactly correct.
Thank you.
Senator Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Bray, I've had the opportunity to work with you in the past. And I'm going to reiterate what Senator Neal said. As I look at the bills that I voted on this year, I would say this is probably the most impactful and positive bill that will come out of the legislature in 2025. Because this is a real problem in our schools. I mean, we see it in our homes. You know, we have family meals or family time together in the car. You know, our children are on the phone talking, playing with their phone rather than interacting with parents. And we parents have to be mean, or grandparents, in my case, be mean and stubborn and say, put down that blank phone. And you're right. Study after study after study shows that when schools halt students from using their phone, they confiscate them at the beginning of the day and return them at the end of the day, that test scores go out, student interaction goes up, overall social interaction with the teachers is higher. I've never seen a study that has said anything but that. So I really applaud you. Like I said, you may have hit a home run this year with this legislation right here, because it is certainly going to be impactful and produce major results for our students going forward. So I commend you on this.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from members?
Yes.
Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this bill's a great idea. I was just curious as to what options and what recommendations are you going to make to the schools on controlling the use of cell phones. How do you do that? Do you have boxes for it, or?
So I can tell you what's been done already within the Commonwealth. Some schools have a plastic holder on the front of the classroom. When students walk in, they put their phone in the plastic holder to start the day. Some of them may have a policy that says, hey, you actually can't use it at all during the school day. Leave it in your locker. That kind of differs district to district. The ones that I've personally heard from, they found some extremely low cost options. Like I said, it's just a sleeve that holds the devices at the front of the room, and the teachers that have put these policies in place have reached out overwhelming with support, like, oh my gosh, you can't believe the difference this has made in my classroom once we implemented these policies. And so there's a variety of different ways it can be done. Once again, we wanted to leave the most local discretion we could possible, and that's why the bill was drafted the way it was.
Thank you.
Senator Reed, there are some more advanced opportunities. I know there are vendors out there that have products that have pouches that will lock the phone in that pouch all day long. They have a device that could be mounted on the wall for when the student leaves for the day or leaves that class, they could unlock that pouch. So it's really up to the school district what they feel is the best policy for them, but there are multiple options to implement this policy.
Thank you.
Senator Williams.
Yes, I'm looking at 5. It says this 1 to 4 shall only apply to social media that a student is not authorized by a teacher. Would a student be able to call their parents if they felt the need that they wanted to call their parents?
Yeah, so that section that you're looking at there is for the social media usage piece of that.
Okay.
We do provide an exception in case of emergency if there was, the teacher got sick, in case there was, God forbid, some kind of active shooter, a fire, anything like that. We do provide an exception for that because in those situations, it would be important for a student to be able to call out, maybe call for police, call for help, call a parent in that situation.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members on this piece of legislation? I'll just close this with one final comment. I really appreciate the hard work of all of you, especially Representative Bray on this. I would encourage, I'll take a brief pause before I close. Senator Tishner has a question.
Thank you.
She had to run in from another committee.
I apologize. I wish I could have heard the testimony. I believe we heard testimony on this in the interim. Am I correct?
Yes.
And thank you for this bill. I think we have seen one school that I'm aware of that in Jefferson County that has already implemented a no phones policy, and it's been very successful. I'm not as happy with the sub, to be honest, because we're giving the teachers, again, the authority to allow phones in their classroom at their discretion, which I feel like that's the problem that we have right now. And we had a lot of teachers who want to have a firm answer on this, and I wish we wouldn't have compromised on that. I think We just need to pull them out and let's get back to focusing on education and remove all the distractions that we can. And phones have been such a detrimental distraction. Thank you.
Senator Titchener,
Yes.
I've been here long enough to understand that sometimes it's about what you can get, not what you want.
Representative Tipton, I'm learning that quite well. Thank you.
Representative Tip, would you consider this 50% or 80%?
I think this moves us way down the line.
I agree. I agree.
And I think it's definitely a win for the students and the people, our teachers, everybody involved in our schools across the Commonwealth.
Gotcha. We've had an influx of questions. Some members have come in from other committees. So Senator Higdon, I believe, has a question.
Yes, Representative Tipton and Senator Tishner always refer to what we do here as the art of the possible, and that's what you've negotiated. Thank you all. It's a good bill.
Any other questions from members? Seeing none, I'll have a final comment. I would just encourage everyone, if you didn't get a chance to look at the testimony in the interim committee, it was life-changing for me and clarified exactly why we need this piece of legislation. And once again, I thank Representative Bray and Representative Tipton for working hard on this. Do we have a motion on the bill? We have a motion from Senator Meredith. We have a second from Senator Reed. Please call the roll.
Senator Carroll. Aye. Senator Givens. Senator Higdon. Aye. Senator Meredith. Senator Neal.
I'd like to explain my aye vote.
Please proceed.
First of all, in retrospect, it amazes me it took so long to even get to this, if you really stop and think about it a little bit. But secondly, I just want to commend the thinking. I think you have the right touch at this moment to enter into this space. And I think that the experience is going to guide what else may need to go to Representative Tipton's comment. I think this is 100 at this point, quite frankly. I commend you on it. Aye.
Senator Rawlings. Aye. Senator Reed.
Aye.
Senator Thomas. Aye. Senator Tishner.
Aye.
Senator Williams.
Aye.
Senator Wilson.
Aye.
Senator Wise.
Briefly explain my vote.
Please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Congratulations. Excellent bill. I do vote aye. I just want to make sure the guest who's speaking that your wife is not a teacher at Taylor County High School. I have a high school son. I want to make sure he's not doing sports gambling on his phone during the day and not focusing on the appropriate classes that he's taking.
My wife?
I'm just kidding.
No.
Vote aye.
No.
Should he only do that in his free time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair West.
Aye. House Bill 208 passes unanimously with favorable expression. Thank you so much for your excellent presentation. At this time, I think this may take care of you, Senator Neal. We're going to register votes. Is that what you would like to do, Senator Neal? Yes on 342. Duly noted. Any other, Senator Tishner?
Yes, I would like to record an aye vote for House Bill 48, House Bill 190, and House Bill 430.
Duly noted. Senator Rawlings?
Yes, I'd like for 48, for 190, for 342, and for 430, all of those.
Duly noted. Anyone else need to register vote? Seeing none. One final announcement before we adjourn. This will be, as far as I know right now, the last education meeting of this session for the Senate Standing Committee on Education.